Hi, and welcome to Business Advisory and Tax Tips. Today, I'm going to give you a quick update on what you should do if you haven't received stimulus number 1 or stimulus number 2 check. And also, I have a special guest that's going to talk about time management, some tips from Conrad Ruiz. Welcome, Conrad.
Thank you, Michelle. Pleasure to be here.
So happy to have you here. But first, I'm Michelle Burke, coming to you live from Annapolis, Maryland. Many of you know that after 30 years as a CPA and a tax accountant, I went out on my own and formed health and taxes. There are only two things certain in life: death and taxes. I'm here to help you flip that to health and less taxes. I come to you live every Wednesday to share something related to business advice and tax tips. And today, like I said, I'm going to talk about the stimulus checks quickly, but I have a really special guest, and we're going to talk about some time management tips, a couple that are near and dear to his heart, so we'll share those. So let's first just jump into the stimulus. So what I want to share with you on the stimulus is that as of January 15th, the second stimulus, whether it's in the form of a direct deposit or a check or a debit card, all of those went out by January 15th. So if you're getting a direct deposit, you should have it by now. If you are getting a debit card or a check, it could still be out in the mail. I know today my mom got her Christmas card from me that I mailed on December 20th. So I know the mail is a little slow. So if you're looking for your check, be patient. They said it could take 2 to 3 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. And you can go out onto My Payment, get My Payment on the irs.gov to see if it's actually coming to you, when it was mailed, if it was mailed. So what I want to emphasize, though, is that for folks still looking for payments, but they didn't get them either for the first round or the second round, that what you'll need to do is file your 2020 tax return, and there's an area there for recovery rebate credit. And on that recovery rebate credit, there's a calculation that goes with that, and you can request the calculated amount. So, the $1,200 plus $500 for dependents under 17 for the first round, and $600 per taxpayer, and $600 per child under 17 again on the second round. So if you haven't received those stimulus checks, the next step will be filing your 2020 tax return and requesting this recovery rebate credit. So along with that, and if you've received your stimuluses both in full and you don't have any questions, there's nothing, you don't need to do this credit. And I wanted to remind people that the stimulus checks are not taxable income, and they don't reduce the amount of a refund that you would receive. So just understand that. If you only receive maybe a partial payment and you're confused, then you receive the right amount, doing a calculation will help you. And you can also request, if you think in error that you didn't receive enough, this is where you would request that additional payment. So if you have any questions about that, please comment below or reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. One other thing I wanted to note, a lot of people are asking, when can I file my 2020 individual return? And first, I'm going to tell you it is best to file it electronically, and it is best to put your direct deposit. So if you file electronically, it's going to get received faster by the IRS. It's going to get processed faster. If you put direct deposit, you're more likely to get your money faster as well. So the IRS came out yesterday. They had originally said that they would have individual returns ready to be processed by January 27th. However, yesterday they've pushed that back to February 12th. So now you can still go ahead and work with free tax filing, or you can still work with your preparer to get the returns prepared electronically, but they just can't be transmitted to the IRS until February 12th. That's because of the economic stimulus. There's a lot of changes the IRS is making to the forms electronically and in their systems. They just need some additional time to do that. So if you have any questions about that as well, let me know. And the other thing I just want to mention about the stimulus is that the first round of PPP and the second round are both open. So the first round's open again if you didn't get one the first time, and the second round's open as well. So reach out to your local bank or bank that you work with and go ahead and apply for that PPP funds as a small business. If you have any questions about that, I can also answer that. So that's all I have to say on stimulus updates for now. I want to get to our special guest here, Conrad, and talk about time management. It's something near and dear to my heart because I know that I have room for improvement in this area. And I know a lot of you do as well. So with that, let me introduce our guest. Conrad Ruiz is the founder of Wellaware. He's a time analyst consultant for executives, early stage entrepreneurs, and multi-business owners. He's educated in business management with a master's and a background in biomedical engineering. Conrad's approach to time management is principled towards understanding the entirety of a client's time, situation, health, culture, and wealth resources, all through data. Through his well-aware approach, Conrad consistently helps clients do more of what matters on a consistent basis. And I know most of us can benefit from that. So with that, Conrad, welcome. So nice to have you.
The pleasure's all mine. Michelle, what a fantastic intro. Way to throw everyone under the bus, too, about that whole consistency thing. No, I'm kidding.
That's something that always comes out consistent. So Conrad, I gave our listeners a little bit about you, but why don't you just tell them a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. People always love to ask, like, what is a young guy doing up here and why does he know so much about time? I will say that outside of my professional background and what I've studied and what I've done, really my story is very personal. As a 25-year-old, I have a 94-year-old father. I have a very particular set of expectations about my life, given that through my time, I've had a number of calls to action that came through, starting off actually in the hospital at 17 with a appendicitis ordeal that turned into the discovery of multicystic kidney, singular kidney. So I'm only walking around with one kidney and it's got several cysts on it. And that's actually why I went to go study biomedical engineering. I wanted to understand more about the condition that I was faced with and what I was looking to expect in terms of untimely things, if you will. I found myself exploring a lot of the conversation around time and what matters because due to my own significant situations with health, due to my own significant situation with my father and his age, we always ended up having a discussion about what's the expectation of our time, but also what's the hurry? Because that really is what I became attuned to when I realized that a bunch of entrepreneurs that were surrounded by me during my time of learning about the startup world and it's at my outset. That's when it really started to hit me that from a time management perspective, a lot of us were just working really, really hard and not necessarily being consistent about getting towards what mattered. And I know that consistency is a challenge. It's not always something we should expect of ourselves. We're not machines. But there's a lot that we can understand about ourselves that's going to help us get to why we don't see ourselves showing up in the ways that we expect ourselves to be. And we're going to talk, I think, a little bit about that, that some of that criticalness, some of that, that sense of self. And I think more importantly, just how to keep a good understanding of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Conrad, for sharing your personal stories and why you're so passionate about time, and definitely understand after hearing that why you take a deeper look than some of us at that. So thank you for sharing that. So I know we mentioned a couple tips. One of them is creating themes. talk to me. What does that mean? And how does that apply?
Yeah. So I know we're supposed to have this conversation 3 weeks ago, which may have been a little bit more timely, but still, actually, I would say power to us for actually waiting and for having this conversation a little bit later into the month, because there's actually quite I don't want to call it a trauma, but there's definitely a psychosomatic reality that kind of falls into a lot of people at the start of the year. That's like, oh my God, this is the year of change. This is the year of something different. This is the year of me not falling to my traps of who I am and how I behave and why I don't like that. When we talk about themes, what I really want to share is that you should apply to the lightest of extent possible your theme of time across the weeks that you live, the months that you live, the quarters, and even the year itself. This idea is something that comes, I think, much more healthily than setting expectations for the new year or setting goals or certain objectives. Those, mind you, are very important. And I think there's a great place for them. But I think when it comes to trying to just move yourself in the right direction, it's one thing to try to set my God, the word is literally escaping me now. What's the thing that everyone does when in the year starts?
The resolutions?
Resolutions. Yes. I hate that word so much. I've literally forgotten it. From what I understand, the resolution concept really implies that we are setting an objective that if we don't meet, we failed to resolve, right? And that's kind of what an expectation is. It's kind of what a goal is. It's something that we look forward to happening, and if it doesn't, then we fail. And a lot of people still have a strong issue with that kind of failure. So the idea of themes changes that. The idea of themes says, listen, it's not about setting a specific goal. It's about focusing your compass in a specific direction. For example, if I had a theme to exercise more this year versus if I had a New Year's resolution to exercise more, the resolution might imply me to make certain expectations or demands upon my time that say you should be going for a run every day or doing exercises every day. And it demands a certain level of strictness. Whereas the theme just says, hey, keep in mind that your theme for this year is to just exercise more. So when you see those opportunities, take them because they're part of your theme. And that takes a much less stringent approach to actually trying to force yourself into a new habit or new zone. There's a lot you can learn about in that space. But I think theming is a good way to get that started, because what it really invites you to do is even the tiniest little behaviors that go towards your theme are signs of success, rather than if you make tiny little approaches to your resolution, that may be seen as a sign of failure because you're not meeting the expectation that you may have set. And so that little change does a whole lot to you. And also, to kind of summarize that theme the concept, you don't have to keep a theme for the whole year. You can switch them out. They can be seasonal. They can work towards the environment that you're living in as that changes.
My gosh. Yeah, I love that mindset of a theme, and especially in the context of, well, you mentioned it, exercise, because you're right. If I set this resolution, I'm going to work out every single day and I don't do it. It's this negative energy. And here with my theme, like, woohoo, I get, hey, today at 2, the sun's shining. It's a nice day. I can go out and go for a run. Yay. Let's do it. And just, hey, I'm in my exercise theme.
Yeah.
So, definitely a different mindset. I love that. We have to train ourselves that way. I'm assuming there's a lot of different themes that we could focus on, and people would individualize them, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if anything, I love to kind of throw people a couple of ballparks to kind of play with and kind of see like, maybe I should adopt this theme this time around. And this is something that I can actually do with anybody, friends, clients, colleagues, you name them. Nutrition is always an interesting theme. It could be something related to cooking itself, or just eating healthier, or eating differently, or just being more mindful to how you eat. Again, the theme is just a general topic, right? Your choice is to take it wherever it goes. Exercise is one that we just mentioned. Sleep is always a powerful theme. It could imply naps as much as actual sleep time. On the wealth building side, there could be creating value, could be prospecting value, could be networking value. So helping others, identifying things that you can buy or sell that are good, that are going to increase the value of your positioning. And then also just creating things that are valuable for the world. Then finally, just study, review, rest. If any of these kind of themes kind of fall in line with like, that sounds like a cool theme that I want to pick up, take it. It's yours. It's yours for this week. It's yours for this month, this quarter, and apply it to your time in a very broad stroke way and see what happens.
Cool. Before we jumped on here, I had saw that you had posted something kind of about this tracking of themes and tracking of your time. Tell us about this tool that I saw you sharing.
Okay, yes. So I'm a big fan of finding whatever tool is going to be out there that's going to make my process of time management easier, simpler, faster. I don't think there's anything fun about tracking every single minute of your day. So I think a good system knows that there are sort of points in time in between events that you're going through about your day, that in which you can kind of check in and say, well, this is what I was up to. And I think this particular tool that I found, I actually got it recommended by somebody to look into this. And I'm so amazed by this tool. In fact, I think I can show you with the quality of the screen that we've got going on here. So this is my phone when it's off, right? And now normally if I go onto my phone, I will see my main page. This is normally what would happen if I wasn't paying attention and I was just opening up my phone. And what happens, right? You answer your notifications, you click open, you see all the various apps that you see on your phone, and you're just kind of thinking, okay, you know, I'm doing something on this thing. I'm making a phone call, I'm doing whatever. But what I really like about tracking my time is that my phone kind of acts as an intermediary point between a lot of activities. I usually do something on my computer or I go get up somewhere and then I pick up my phone.
Right.
And that's the next step, right? It's a lot of people's next intermediary steps, whatever happens on that phone. But here's the thing. When I have my phone off and I turn it on, because of this very specific tool called Save My Time, which is an application, I believe it's available on Android. That's right. That's the website. Now what I get to do first thing first is I get to pick which of these themes, which of these buckets, which I've customized to fit those 9 themes that I just talked about. I can choose which of these buckets I've hit. So in this particular case, I might say that, hey, you know, the last time I checked my phone was about 30 minutes ago. And that was about the time that Michelle, you and I got started talking, connecting. I could make 2 choices under my sort of design of my buckets. I could say that we're networking, but I could also say that we're creating value. One of the cool things is I can either choose, if I want to choose both, if not one or the other, I could go to multiple here at the bottom and now all these turn white. Now I can suddenly click networking and creating. And so those highlight there. I click submit. And now I say, okay, you know, that I kind of split across 15 minutes for each. And that's it. That's my submission. Now I can go into the app later and actually look into see in the aggregate level, how much time am I spending across my buckets?
I love the idea of that. You know, I just saw it right before we started this show, and we talked about it for a few minutes, but it's definitely, I agree. If it's right on my phone, whenever I pick it up, it's going to be front and center instead of like, oh, I have to go search for that. Was I supposed to do that? But this is going to
answer text.
Get me.
Facebook.
Yeah, it's going to get me jumping in there. So thanks for sharing that with us, because I think that's a really cool tip. And I will post this website in the comments for our viewers if they want to check that out.
Yes.
So that was a great tip. So one other tip we wanted to talk about today was a little bit about physical versus digital note-taking, maybe in particular. I'm really guilty of the physical note-taking with all
no
the
guilt.
tabs and
no guilt.
what's going on here.
Okay.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So first and foremost, there's nothing wrong with physical note-taking. I think when it's done right, it's actually far more valuable than any type of digital note-taking tool that's out there. The problem, I believe, with physical note-taking nowadays is that it does lack certain qualities that, due to the information age we live in, it becomes very difficult to manage and sift through your existing notes. You have to have a certain type of mindset. You have to have certain types of notes that you can take physically, but there's really a lot of other information that most of us work with and go back and review on a certain basis, or would find a lot of value in doing so. And it would make a lot more sense for those things to exist digitally. So just on a high level philosophy standpoint, I think physical note-taking, nothing wrong with it, but a lot of people fail to set up the system for it properly. A lot of people may just lack the basic penmanship, and I don't blame them for it. It's not something that you study. I remember my fourth grade teacher who literally sat me down one day, and I'm a left-handed person, right? So of course my handwriting is atrocious until it was that I finally took time to slow down and really work on it. And even then I can get sloppy in mere seconds if I don't take awareness to my penmanship. But he sat me back down into the fourth grade and he said, "Conrad, your handwriting is horrible." I felt like it was an intervention, right? And I'm like, okay, you're sitting, it's a beautiful day. I'm like, no one else is in the classroom here. This is clearly a me problem, right? But no, I get that. And that had been something that really plagued me for a long time when it came to taking physical notes down. But over time and through time management, I really got to look into the organizational management space and really using organizational tools for productivity and for automation and for search indexing, all these great things that normally don't exist on a physical pen and paper unless you have a really, really smart BA. And on that point, they might as well be living by your shoulder, right? Because you probably take a lot of notes. This kind of is where my sort of philosophy then takes to stance and says there's a huge advantage to be made of switching to digital organization. And as long as the transition is done properly, as long as you still pay mind to the old information, if you will, the past information of your physical notes, and then make sure that the new note structure still accounts for all that stuff or does a better job of it, and so be it. And that's something that you can take time towards doing. It's going to require you to think a little bit strategically and maybe do a little bit of homework and study up first. And don't get me wrong, you could do it just for the physical notes if you want to, but I'm strongly a proponent of digital.
Yeah. And like you said, anytime you're learning something new, it takes a little time, and then you start seeing the benefits, and then you embrace it a little more, especially as the benefits start showing themselves to you. And I know from my tax filing clients, I get all of my documents electronically now. We do electronic signatures, and all of that is just so much easier than scanning or collecting actual things. So on that part, I'm there and I'm embracing it because it's amazing. It's time efficient too, right? But it's really amazing, and it's more secure. So there's that secure part for me for that part of it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. So Conrad, I really appreciate your sharing with us a couple time management tips. Now I know you have a workshop coming up. What can you, and I'm going to pop that up here in case our listeners are interested in hearing more, but tell us a little bit more about this upcoming workshop.
Sure. So not to resolve the own problem that I just posted up just a couple of seconds ago, but one of the things that Michelle and I got to talk about, speaking to you in the third person now, related to, providing something of value. I think one of the things that I really love teaching people how to do is kind of switch over from that physical notebook kind of lifestyle to the digital one, and to just, one, see the value and see if it works. But then two, if it does kind of make sense to you, like, okay, then let's dive into it. Let's actually put it together. Let's see how that works. Let's test it. Let's work on it together. Let's make sure you're set up and good to go. I don't ever want to leave anybody, whether in a physical or a digital note-taking structure, I don't ever want to leave anybody with just half-baked system. You kind of want the full thing to be working, and you want to understand how it works. That way you don't feel like, and this is the thing, one of the things that I feel like is one of the disservices to digital tools is that they just kind of say, open canvas, you're free to explore, figure it out. But then you're sitting on hours of YouTube videos just trying to figure out each of the little tiny little tools and tips and tricks and features within each of the products and figure out how they work all together. It's like, okay, no, if you want to sit down with me and we want to talk through this, we can do it in 3 hours. And I can give you at least the fundamentals that are really going to help you. And at that level, we can then safely say, you can step away from the notebook. You can walk away from that. You can still use it. You can still find value in it. We could have some conversation about ways to kind of keep that valuable on a minimalistic standpoint, but really take that stuff out of your desk, free your space up, put everything where it's nice and secure and digital. Granted, you know how to manage that digital workbench. And that's what we cover in this workshop.
Okay. Yeah, I am a big proponent. I like to learn. Well, I'm a show me person. I'm from the show me state of Missouri. So I'd prefer any day for someone to take 3 hours, show me how to use a tool versus me going out there trying to figure things out. Now, if I'm just trying to answer a small little question, sure, I'll go watch a YouTube video on it and figure it out.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to learn a new tool, I want to know, what should I be focusing on? What's the most beneficial? How do I get there? So yeah, I'm all in. I definitely am interested in some digital tools and organization and note taking. So definitely interested. So yeah, if any of our listeners are interested, please reach out. I also will post Conrad's overall website out here as well. He does one-on-one coaching as well. If you want his help in learning how to just better manage your time, definitely reach out to him for that. So Conrad, as we kind of wrap up here, any final words for our listeners?
I hope y'all are just as excited about as I am about, just everything that's happened today. And, because I know it's a special day today, the 20th of January. We've been waiting for this moment for quite some time now, regardless of what side you're on and what you believe in. It's nice to be moving forward. And I think with respect to everything that's going on, I hope all of you are safe and well. I know COVID is still very much a reality. I'm glad we've come so far with everything that we've been doing in a scientific community. As a biomedical engineer, I've been fascinated as much as horrified as everything that's been going on. And I really hope you are all just staying well. So please, and if anything, if you're in a situation where things are not going so great, please reach out. Those of us who are willing to help, we want to say so. So thank you.
Yeah. Cindy's piping in here. She's very excited about today too. Yeah. All about it. So, well, Conrad, thanks so much for coming on the show. Thanks so much for sharing some tips. And if people are interested in the workshop, please check it out. It'll be sometime in February. Conrad's going to open it up and coordinate with you as you kind of sign up for it to figure out the best date and time for that. I will definitely be joining in for that because I know there's benefit in there for me. So I'm excited about that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all of our listeners. If you found value in this, please share this on Facebook or go to Health and Taxes YouTube channel and share it there with your friends. Really appreciate it. And join us next Wednesday. I'll be back at 5 p.m. next Wednesday to bring you something business advice and tips related. So hope to see you there. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.